President Muhammadu Buhari seeks Nigeria's inclusion in the G7's climate partnerships list. Speaker of House of Representatives GBAJABIAMILA lists reasons federal government won't pay ASUU fully. Ukraine war, reason to act fast on climate change, says UK Prime Minister RISHI SUNAK. And Floyd Mayweather returns to the ring, faces DEJI in an exhibition bout. This is the MLC Tv News Hour, reaching live from the city of Lokoja, the Confluent State of Nigeria. I am GBAJABIAMILA. Good day. The President, Muhammadu Buhari, has requested the inclusion of Nigeria in the G7's climate partnerships list for the co-creation of a just energy transition partnership. According to him, this will enable the country's energy transition plan to achieve its set targets by 2060. The plan requires $410 billion, which translates to an additional $10 billion in annual spending. Buhari also demanded urgent and decisive climate action from the countries that are most responsible for the emissions that caused climate change. He said this on Monday on the sidelines of the 2022 United Nations Climate Change Conference in Egypt, dubbed COP27. Represented by the Minister of Environment, Mohammed Abdullahi, the President stated that actions concerning climate change taken and over the next few decades would determine the fate of future generations and the planet. He said this year they have witnessed disastrous extreme weather events, from terrifying wildfires in the United States to unprecedented heat waves in India, Pakistan and Europe, to intense floods in many countries such as Nigeria. From early summer till now, devastating floods have affected about 33 states in Nigeria, displacing over 1.4 million people, destroying over 100,000 hectares of farmland, and causing about 600 deaths. In addition, they are witnessing increased desertification, erosion, and pollution in the country, the impacts of which are too severe to ignore. These glaring climate signals indicate that they do not have the luxury of time when it comes to the impact of climate change, he said. The President lamented that Africa, which had contributed the least to both historical and current emissions, was facing climate impacts to a disproportionate degree. He said, as will be strongly demanded here at COP27, they need to see urgent and decisive climate action from the countries most responsible for the emissions that cause climate change. They cannot afford any more delays. Their people and nations are on the line. The blame game should stop. Affirmative and positive commitment to address these challenges must begin. Buhari stated that while climate change was getting focused on, there was the need to consider the energy poverty in Africa. The blame game should stop. Affirmative and positive commitment to address these challenges must begin. Buhari stated that while climate change was getting focused on, there was the need to consider the energy poverty in Africa. The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, has indicated that the federal government may not fully pay university lecturers for the 8 months that the Academic Staff Union of Universities was on strike. Gbajabiamila, in a statement issued on Monday, said the President Muhammadu Buhari was being awaited to approve the proposal of partial payments presented to him. Titled Statement by the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, on the resolution of outstanding issues between the Academic Staff Union of Universities and the federal government of Nigeria. It read, when the Academic Staff Union of Universities called off their industrial action 3 weeks ago, it meant that academic activities could resume in the nation's public universities and students could return to their academic pursuits after the prolonged interruption. This decision was rightly heralded nationwide as the correct decision. The Speaker recalled that 3 weeks ago he called for a national conversation on the substantive reforms required to address the underlying issues bedeviling public tertiary education in Nigeria. To that end, the House of Representatives is convening a national summit on tertiary education reform. They have called for papers and memoranda from members of the public. The submissions they receive and expert presentations at the summit will reform their policy recommendations and actions, he said. GBAJABIAMILA urged all citizens and stakeholders to participate in this crucial effort to reinvent their public tertiary institutions into respective citadels of learning. Now on politics. The Independent National Electoral Commission has expressed concern about the challenges it is facing as it prepares for the 2023 elections. The INEC chairman, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, while appearing before the House of Representatives Committee on Electoral Matters, said that the recent flooding across the nation had destroyed no fewer than 20 offices of the commission. The chairman of the Electoral Umpire, while appearing before the House of Representatives Committee on Electoral Matters to defend the budget proposed by the Commission in the 2023 Appropriation Bill, said the development had forced the agency to begin to look for new office spaces in new locations in some states. The latest destruction of INEC equipment and offices may worsen things for the Commission, which was just coming out of the destruction caused by NSAS attacks and the activities of unknown gunmen in the southeast and insurgents in the north. Yakubu, who said this at an emergency meeting with security agencies under the auspices of the Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security in Abuja, following the serial attacks on the Commission's offices and facilities, especially in the southeastern part of the country, warned that a disruption to the electoral process would undermine Nigerian democracy and destabilize the country. However, speaking at last week's meeting with the representative panel, Yakubu thanked the committee and the National Assembly by extension for passing the Electoral Act, which he described as the most progressive electoral act ever in the history of elections in Nigeria. The chairman urged the parliament to pass the bill seeking to establish an Electoral Offences Commission and Tribunal before the end of the ninth National Assembly. A federal high court sitting in Gusau has again nullified the People's Democratic Party (PDP) governorship primary election that produced Dr. Dauda Lawal as PDP governorship candidate in Zamfara State. While reading the judgment on the matter, the presiding judge, Justice Aminu Bapa, said the PDP cannot field a governorship candidate for the 2023 general election as the party violated Section 82 of the 2010 Electoral Act. In a phone interview with Radio Nigeria, counsel to the plaintiffs, Barrister Ibrahim Ali, said the judgment was apt as it would serve as a deterrent to other political parties and it protects the democracy in Nigeria. According to him, they filed in the case challenging the legality of the PDP governorship primary election, saying 2022 Electoral Act required that all political parties must notify the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, about their primary election 21 days before the election, and all aspirants be notified 7 days before the election, but none was fulfilled. On his part, counsel to the defendants, Barrister Ajia A. Shehu, said they will appeal the judgment as the PDP and its candidates were not satisfied with the judgment, noting that the Federal High Court has superior court on top. Barrister Shehu added that their team of lawyers are studying the judgment and will take next line of action. We go on a short break. We'll be right back.
Get human interest stories right here on MLC TV with entertainment, sports, business, culture, tourism, and fashion news stories all featured on MLC TV. Not forgetting political and current affairs news, state and federal government and people's matters will be discussed regularly on MLC TV. MLC TV, your one-stop online destination for unbiased, accurate news, entrepreneur ideas, and youth matters to the rest of the world. MLC TV, reaching everywhere, informing everyone.
Welcome back. Now on foreign. Millions of Americans will vote in the midterm elections on Tuesday with the balance of power in Congress at stake. The entire U.S. House of Representatives, about a third of the Senate and key state governorships are up for grabs. President Joe Biden, a Democrat, and ex-President Donald Trump, a Republican, made their closing arguments in dueling rallies. Biden's ability to pass laws will be stymied if Republicans take the House, as most projections expect. Democrats currently control the White House and by razor-thin margins both chambers of Congress. The party in power typically sheds an average of 24 or so seats in the midterms, which fall midway through a president's 4 years in office. While Biden himself is not up for re-election on Tuesday, midterms are often seen as a referendum on a president's leadership. A political thumping for Democrats on Tuesday could embolden murmurs within the party about whether Biden, who turns 80 this month, should run for re-election in 2024. He went to Maryland on Monday night to campaign for Wes Moore, who is expected to make history as the third black governor over-elected in the U.S. The war in Ukraine is a reason to act faster to tackle climate change, UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has told the United Nations Climate Summit COP27. Leaders from 120 countries are meeting in Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt, to discuss next steps in curbing climate change. Key topics are compensation and support for the most affected countries. In a series of speeches, leaders urged rich countries to stay the course in stopping further climate change despite the war in Ukraine and global financial problems. Nations on the front line of climate change laid out the stark impact of higher temperatures, droughts, and floods on people and the environment. They are on a highway to climate hell with their foot on the accelerator, United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres told the summit. His stark warning was echoed by former U.S. Vice President and environmentalist Al Gore, who said nations must stop subsiding the culture of deaths of fossil fuels. In an energetic speech, French President Emmanuel Macron urged world leaders to deliver climate justice. Former UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson is also in Egypt and said countries should not go weak and wobbly on climate action. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz said switching to renewable energy was a security policy imperative, while Italy's new Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni said her country remains strongly committed to its climate goals. US President Joe Biden is due to arrive at the summit on Friday, while John Kerry, his special envoy for the climate, is already in attendance. Though Swedish campaigner Greta Thunberg is staying away from the summit after she accused the United Nations of greenwashing, many other youth activists are in Sharm el-Sheikh. Zia Batceda, a 20-year-old activist from Mexico, is there to tell decision makers that nature must be protected. She told BBC News she's pleased with progress so far in Egypt, including getting the words loss and damage on the agenda. The terms refer to money as some form of compensation or reparations for the effect of climate change on developing countries that did little to cause the problem. Let's join Jonah Malik for the sports update.
And on sports update, Floyd Mayweather makes his return to the ring for another exhibition bout with YouTuber DEJI, his latest opponent. The clash between Mayweather and DEJI is scheduled to take place November 13th at the Coca-Cola Arena in Dubai. Both fighters are expected to walk to the ring at around 10 p.m. for those in the UK, though that will of course depend on the results beforehand. There is also an abundance of action on the undercard with Tommy Fury taking on Paul Bamba, Love Island star Jack Fickman making his professional debut, and Haley Ben also on the card. Standing in the opposition corner this weekend in Dubai will be DEJI, who admitted his sole goal is to simply land a punch. The 25-year-old, whose real name is Oladeji Olatunji, recently claimed his first win defeating fellow YouTuber Fusi YouTube, having previously fallen to 3 straight defeats. Mayweather has confirmed the exhibition bout won't be his last, planning to stage another in UK in February. The 50-0 legend is set for his 4th exhibition bout since retiring from professional boxing, with his prior opponent including another YouTuber and now WWE star Logan Paul. Meanwhile, Tommy Fury, who has spoken on fighting both KSI and DEJI's first opponent, Jake Paul, is also in action as he takes on Paul Bamba in the chief support. And straight to football, Southampton have sacked manager Ralph Hasenhuttl after nearly 4 years in charge at the club. Hasenhuttl leaves the Saints after their 4-0 defeat to Newcastle on Sunday, which left them in the relegation zone after 6 losses in 9 top-flight games. The Austrian was the Premier League 4th longest-serving manager, having taken over at St Mary's in December 2018. During his spell at the club, Southampton suffered 2 9-0 defeats in the space of 16 months as they lost to Leicester City at home in October 2019 and were then thumped by the same scoreline at Manchester United in February 2021. Hasenhuttl, however, managed to preserve Saints' Premier League status by guiding them to 16th place in his first season in charge, followed by an 11th place finish in 2019-2020 season, with 15th place finishes in the following 2 campaigns. The 2022-2023 UEFA Champions League draw for the round of 16 knockout stage was announced on Monday. RB Leipzig will be taking on Manchester City, Club Brugge takes on Benfica, Liverpool takes on Real Madrid, AC Milan versus Tottenham Hotspur, Eintracht Frankfurt will take on Napoli, Borussia Dortmund will take on Chelsea, Inter Milan versus Porto, and PSG takes on Bayern Munich. And that's sports update on MLC TV News. I am Malik Jonah reporting. Back to our caster for more stories.
Thank you, Jonah, for the update. And over to Matthias Ayodiji Peter for the entertainment news.
On our entertainment news, Wizkid revealed the track list for his next album via his Twitter account. More Love, Less Ego is said to be Wizkid's 5th full-length album and it is scheduled for November 11th release. The track list revealed the album will have 13 songs with guest appearances from multiple artists. Guest artists on the album: More Love, Less Ego will feature guest appearances from British rapper Skepta, who appears on the same track with Nigerian star Naira Marley. Jamaican dancehall star Shamsi appears alongside Skill Bing. Also on the album are fast-rising Afrobeat sensation Ira Star and American artist Don Toliver. Wizkid has already released 2 songs, Bad to Me and Money and Love, off the album. The album comes off the back of the hugely successful Made in Lagos album that has broken multiple African records on international charts. Wizkid was earlier set to release More Love, Less Ego on November 4th, but he postponed the release following the sad loss of Davido's son, Ifeanyi Adeleke. Still on our entertainment news from Africa, Nigerian street-up sensation Mohbad is back with a new release after the events that unfolded between him and his former label, Malian Records. Mohbad's latest release is a head-on diss track where he aimed digs at Naira Marley and other Malian record signees over what transpired between them. In his new single, Mohbad revealed that Malian Records were after his life and even went as far as threatening him and his parents. This is an allegation he has previously made when he first came out with a cry for help over the issues with Malian Records. What is your Joro Ofe Konami? He says in the track, and this translates to they have cheated, they wanted to trick me. He also went on to admit that he might not have much but he's okay and happy. The diss track released by Mohbad is the latest development in the dispute between the parties and it follows his decision to walk away from the label, with his lawyers recently serving Naira Marley contract termination papers. And that is all on entertainment news today. My name is Matthias Ayodiji Peter reporting for MLC TV.
Thank you, Matthias, for the entertainment updates. And that is the size of our package today. Join us tomorrow at this same hour to watch our news as we give you update on happenings within and across the globe. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, MLC TV, like and follow our Facebook page, MLC TV, Instagram MLC TV 2021, and Twitter at MLC TV 1. For your events, coverage, information, contribution, adverts, and sponsorship, please call any of our numbers displayed on your screen. Join us Fridays and Saturdays to watch our special programs. It is MLC TV, reaching everywhere, informing everyone. I am Jane Giabalagbubu. Please continue to be your brother's keeper to build a united and peaceful society together. Good day, and thanks for watching.